Ladies and gentlemen, respected guests, brothers and sisters, thank you for being here today. It is an honor to speak to a United States audience about a subject that is both deeply spiritual and profoundly relevant to our modern world, Islam. In the digital age, we live in a time unlike any other in human history. Information travels across continents in seconds. A single message can influence millions. A single video can shape perceptions of an entire religion. In this environment, understanding Islam beyond headlines and stereotypes is not just important for Muslims, but for all Americans who value diversity, freedom, and mutual respect. Today, I want to explore Islam not as a distant or foreign concept, but as a living faith practiced by millions of Americans. I want to discuss its core principles, its compatibility with democratic values, its emphasis on ethics and knowledge, and its role in a digitally connected society. Let us begin. With the foundation, Islam is a monotheistic faith centered on the belief in one God, merciful, compassionate, and just. The word Islam itself means submission to the will of God, and it shares roots with the word peace. A Muslim is someone who seeks peace through conscious submission to the Creator. The primary source of Islamic teachings is the Qur'an, which Muslims believe to be the final revelation from God. It emphasizes justice, mercy, accountability, charity, and the dignity of every human being. The second key source is the teachings and example of Muhammad, who is regarded not as a divine figure, but as a human messenger chosen to convey God's message. For an American audience, it is important to highlight that Islam, at its core, upholds values that resonate deeply with the ideals of this nation: justice, personal responsibility, community service, and moral integrity. One of the most powerful principles in Islam is accountability. Every individual is responsible for their own actions. So there is no inherited guilt. There is no collective blame. Each person stands before God based on their choices. This emphasis on personal responsibility aligns closely with American ideals of individual liberty and moral accountability. Another central pillar is charity. Muslims are required to give a portion of their wealth annually to those in need. This is not optional generosity. It is an obligation. The concept ensures economic circulation and social care. In a country where philanthropy is highly valued, this shared emphasis on supporting the vulnerable creates common ground. Now let us move to a more contemporary issue: the digital age. We are living in a world shaped by social media platforms, artificial intelligence, digital activism, and instant communication. For Muslims in America, this environment presents both opportunity and challenge. On one hand, digital platforms allow Muslims to share their faith directly without filters. They can explain misconceptions, build interfaith dialogue, and showcase positive contributions. On the other hand, misinformation spreads just as quickly. Stereotypes can go viral. Fear can be amplified. Islam teaches careful speech and responsible communication, the idea that one must verify information before spreading. It is deeply rooted in Islamic ethics. In a time when fake news and misinformation dominate online discourse, this principle is remarkably relevant. Imagine if every social media user paused before sharing an unverified story. Imagine if online discussions were guided by the ethical standard of speaking truthfully or remaining silent. These are not merely religious ideals. They are digital survival skills for a healthy democracy. For Muslim youth in America, identity formation can be complex and navigate multiple worlds: home, culture, American society, religious identity, and digital communities. Islam provides a moral compass in this journey. It teaches balance. It encourages excellence in education, kindness toward neighbors, respect for parents, and active participation in society. Historically, Islamic civilization made significant contributions to science, medicine, mathematics, architecture, and philosophy. Algebra, advances in optics, early medical encyclopedias, and preservation of classical knowledge were developed or expanded in Muslim societies. These contributions are part of shared human heritage, not isolated achievements. In today's America, Muslims continue to contribute as doctors, engineers, teachers, entrepreneurs, public servants, and members of the armed forces. They are not outsiders to the American story. They are part of it. Let us address a difficult but necessary topic: extremism. Extremism exists in many ideologies and communities across the globe. However, violent actions carried out in the name of Islam contradict the core teachings of the faith. Islam strictly prohibits the killing of innocent people. It upholds justice even in conflict. The actions of extremists represent political distortions. It's not authentic religious teachings. For an American audience, it is crucial to distinguish between faith and geopolitics. Just as the actions of a few do not define Christianity or Judaism, they do not define Islam. Now let us reflect on freedom of religion. The United States Constitution guarantees religious liberty. This principle aligns with Islamic teachings that there should be no compulsion in matters of faith. Genuine belief cannot be forced. It must be chosen freely. This alignment creates space for Muslims to practice their faith while fully participating. In American civic life, Islam encourages civic engagement. It promotes standing up for justice, even if it is against oneself. It encourages cooperation and good works. Muslim Americans engage in voting, community organizing, disaster relief efforts, and interfaith programs. These activities strengthen social cohesion. Family is another cornerstone of Islamic teaching. Marriage, parental respect, care for elders, and protection of children are central values. In a society where family structures face many pressures, these teachings provide stability and moral guidance. But Islam is not only about rules, it is deeply spiritual. Prayer 5 times a day offers structured reflection in a chaotic world. Fasting during Ramadan cultivates empathy for the hungry and discipline of the self. Pilgrimage symbolizes unity across races and nations. These practices create resilience and self-control. In a digital world of constant distraction, structured spirituality becomes even more valuable. Imagine stepping away from notifications and news cycles 5 times a day to reconnect with purpose. That rhythm builds mental clarity. Mental health is an increasing concern in the United States. Islam recognizes emotional struggle. It encourages seeking help, maintaining hope, and trusting in divine wisdom, while taking practical steps. The balance between spiritual reliance and personal effort is central. Let us also consider gender. Islamic teachings emphasize spiritual equality between men and women. Both are accountable to God. Both are capable of scholarship, leadership, and community service. Cultural practices sometimes differ from religious principles, and it is important not to confuse the two. American Muslim women are lawyers, physicians, journalists, and activists. Some wear the hijab as an expression of faith. Religious freedom means respecting that choice, just as one respects any other religious expression. Now let us return to technology. Artificial intelligence, virtual reality, biotechnology. These innovations raise ethical questions. Islam provides a framework for evaluating new developments. Does it promote justice? Does it protect human dignity? Does it prevent harm? This ethical lens can contribute meaningfully to broader national conversations about regulation and responsibility. The American experiment has always involved balancing freedom with responsibility. Islam teaches the same balance. Freedom without morality can become chaos. Morality without freedom can become oppression. A healthy society requires both. One of the greatest challenges today is polarization. Political divisions, racial tensions, economic disparities all are intensified online. Islam calls for reconciliation, patience, and dialogue. It teaches that diversity is part of divine design. It's not a problem to eliminate. The United States is one of the most religiously diverse countries in the world. Mosques stand alongside churches, synagogues, and temples. This diversity should not create fear. It should inspire curiosity. Interfaith dialogue is not about erasing differences. It is about understanding them. It is about recognizing shared moral ground while respecting theological distinctions. Young Americans, including young Muslims, are deeply concerned about climate change, social justice, and global inequality. Islamic teachings on stewardship of the earth, fairness in trade, and protection of the vulnerable resonate strongly with these concerns. Caring for the environment is considered a trust from God. Let us imagine the future. What does Islam look like in America 50 years from now? It will likely be even more integrated into the national fabric. More scholars will emerge who are both deeply rooted in tradition and fluent in contemporary issues. More partnerships will form between Muslim institutions and broader civic organizations. Digital platforms will continue to shape religious learning. Online lectures, virtual study circles, and global conferences will connect believers across continents. With that opportunity comes responsibility, ensuring authenticity, accuracy, and ethical conduct. For non-Muslim Americans listening today, understanding Islam does not require conversion. It requires willingness to move beyond headlines and meet real people. Visit a mosque open house. Share a meal during Ramadan. Ask questions respectfully. For Muslim Americans, the responsibility is equally significant.